Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. So today we'll be looking at a fresh topic which is indices. Indices, that's a plural form of it, and then in the singular term we call it index. Index. So let's see, the index of a number tells us how many times the number is multiplied by itself. So the index of a number tells us how many times that number we call it the base, it is multiplied by itself. So the index is also called the power, the power. So the index of a number. So like this, an example here, 2 raised to power 4. We have 2 raised to power 4. So this 4 is the index, or you call it power. 4 is the index of 2. So the index, which is 4 here, of this number, so the 2 here is also called the base, tells us how many times this number, which is the base, is multiplied by itself. That means we multiply 2 by itself into 4 times. Exactly. So the index tells us how many times we multiply the base by itself. So if it is, for example, we have 3 raised to power 5, that means we multiply 3 times 3. We multiply 3 by itself 5 times. So that is what happens in indices or index for singular form. So it also powers. Okay, let's see some basic laws of indices. Number one, any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. Any number raised to the power of 0, not only numbers, this is also in variables. Okay, any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. Okay, so 2 raised to the power of 0 is 1, x raised to the power of 0 is 1. Now, I forgot to tell you during introduction that we've entered the part 2 of the basic mathematics, from whole numbers till fractions. Those are the parts I consider the elementary and the basic level. So those are basic normal mathematics. Now from indices, we'll start seeing math in a different dimension. How do I know we'll start seeing it in a different dimension? One of the ways I know is that we'll start seeing what we call unknowns and variables. So we'll start seeing things like x, start seeing things like y, start seeing things like z in mathematics. So that is this is a new dimension of the mathematics will now be seeing. So when you see things like x, see things like y, please don't be don't be so afraid of them. So take note. Okay, so let's see. Any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. So 2 raised to the power 0, you can see that we have 1 here, and x raised to the power 0, that will also give us 1. So anything raised to the power of 0 will give us 1. Okay, and then we move to the second law. Any number raised to the power of 1 is equal to that number. Any number raised to the power of 1 is equal to that number. So 2 raised to the power 1 is 2, and x raised to the power 1 is x. Okay, so that is it. And then we also go to squares and cubes of numbers. So what I will do here, we'll just be looking at this activity. Study these squares and cubes. Study these squares and cubes. What do we call squares? Squares means raised to power of 2. Example, 3 raised to power 2, that's square. 4 raised to power 2, that's 4 square. And this 3 square. Then what do you mean by cube? Cube means 2 raised to power 3. Raised to power 3 is what we call cube. And then 9 raised to power 3, these are cubes. This is cube, this is cube, and this is square, this is square. So raised to power 2 is square, and raised to power 3 is cube. So you have to study this. You have to study this. At least study the squares up to 20. In fact, you can take till 30. We have till 30 here. And then for the cube you can take cube up till 10. Take cube up till 10. Take cube up till 10. So that is what we are looking at to introduce us into indices. Remember, like I said, we'll be seeing more of variables, what I call variables and unknowns in mathematics now. We'll be seeing more of that. Variables and unknowns will be coming in mathematics. So take note of that. All right, so our activity is to study the squares and cubes of numbers. So this is one square. One square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25, and then we have the cubes of this number. So it's in two parts. This is the first side, and then the second side is here. So please do well to study the cube and the squares of numbers carefully. So thank you for watching this video. So we'll move to our next video on indices in the next class. Do well to like, to share, and subscribe. See you in our next class.